Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to talk about ancient Egypt, its pharaohs, pyramids, and the importance of the river Nile. Ancient Egypt, the civilization that refused to die. A world history story by the perfect professor. Part 1. Before history learned to remember. Most civilizations rise. Most civilizations fall. Ancient Egypt did something far stranger. It endured. For more than 3,000 years, while kingdoms collapsed, empires vanished, and cultures disappeared, Egypt remained recognizable, continuous, and astonishingly stable. This was not luck. It was design. A civilization older than memory. When ancient Egypt was already ancient, other civilizations had not yet begun. While Europe was still tribal, Egypt was building monuments aligned with the stars. While writing was rare, Egypt was recording eternity in stone. While kings elsewhere ruled briefly, Egyptian pharaohs prepared to rule forever. The ancient Egypt did not see itself as temporary. It saw itself as cosmic, the gift of the Nile. Egypt was not built by conquest. It was built by geography. Each year, the Nile River flooded predictably, depositing rich black soil along its banks. Crops grew reliably. Food surplus followed. Where other civilizations struggled against nature, Egypt synchronized with it. The Nile was not just a river. It was a calendar, a god, a guarantee of survival, stability before ambition. Egyptian society valued continuity over expansion. Change was dangerous. Innovation was cautious. Tradition was sacred. This mindset shaped everything. Art stayed consistent for centuries. Religious beliefs evolved slowly. Political structures resisted disruption. Egypt did not chase progress. It preserved balance. Ma'at, the idea that built a civilization. At the heart of Egyptian life stood a single concept: Ma'at. Ma'at meant order, balance, harmony, truth. The pharaoh did not rule to dominate. He ruled to maintain Ma'at. Chaos was the enemy. Stability was sacred. This belief system transformed governance into cosmic responsibility. The pharaoh, man and God. The pharaoh was not merely a king. He was the bridge between heaven and earth. Living, he maintained order. Dead, he joined the gods. This dual role ensured loyalty unlike anything seen elsewhere. Rebellion was not just treason. It was sacrilege. Time as a circle, not a line. Egyptians did not see time as progress. They saw it as repetition. Flood, harvest, renewal. Death, afterlife, rebirth. This cyclical worldview removed fear of endings. Civilization did not rush forward. It returned, again and again. Why Egypt refused to die. Egypt survived invasions, dynastic collapse, famine, and foreign rule. Because its identity was not political, it was spiritual. Empires can fall, worldviews endure. Professor's reflection, the first lesson. Ancient Egypt teaches us something unsettling. Civilizations do not survive because they are aggressive. They survive because they understand balance. Egypt did not conquer the future. It waited for it. Part 2, Gods, Death, and the Afterlife. To understand why ancient Egypt endured for thousands of years, we must confront something modern minds often misunderstand. The Egyptians were not obsessed with death. They were obsessed with continuity. Death, to them, was not an ending. It was a transition. And this single belief reshaped an entire civilization. Death as a second beginning. Most ancient societies feared death. Egypt prepared for it. Life on Earth was temporary, a test, a preparation, a rehearsal. What mattered was what came next. The afterlife was not abstract. It was detailed, organized, and expected. Egyptians believed that if order was maintained in life, it would continue after death. This belief removed panic from mortality. It replaced fear with planning. The soul was not one thing. Egyptians believed the human soul was complex. It was not a single entity. It consisted of multiple parts. Ka, the life force. Ba, personality and individuality. Ak, the transformed spirit. Run, the name. Shut the shadow. Death required balance among these elements. If the body decayed, the soul fractured. Preservation was not superstition. It was necessity. Why the body had to survive. The body was not discarded after death. It was needed. The car required a physical anchor. The body needed to recognize its home. If the body was lost, the afterlife was lost. This belief explains mummification not as ritual, but as engineering. Mummification, engineering eternity. Mummification was a precise, methodical process. Organs were removed and preserved. The body was dehydrated using natron salts. Resins sealed decay. Linen wrapped identity into permanence. This was not religious hysteria. It was technical preservation based on belief-driven logic. The dead were maintained as carefully as the living. The Book of the Dead. The journey after death was not automatic. It was dangerous. Egyptians prepared guides, texts we now call the Book of the Dead. These were not books in the modern sense. They were manuals, spells, instructions, and declarations designed to help the soul navigate the afterlife. Knowing what to say mattered. Ignorance could mean annihilation. Judgment was inevitable. At the heart of the afterlife stood judgment. The heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, symbol of truth and balance. If the heart was heavier, corrupted by wrongdoing, it was devoured, not punished, erased. This belief linked morality directly to survival. Ethics were not philosophical. They were existential. Gods everywhere, chaos nowhere. Egyptian gods were not distant. They were integrated into daily life. Each god represented a function. The sun rising, the river flooding, the dead transforming. This polytheism created flexibility. When one god declined, another absorbed meaning. Religion evolved without collapsing. Why religion stabilized the state? Religion was not separate from governance. It justified authority. It explained disaster. It enforced morality. By embedding cosmic meaning into everyday life, Egypt eliminated uncertainty. People knew their place in the universe. That knowledge was calming. Professors' reflection, immortality as strategy. Egypt's obsession with the afterlife was not escapism. It was social engineering. By promising continuity beyond death, the state reduced rebellion, panic, and existential fear. People who believe in order beyond life are easier to govern and harder to destabilize. Egypt did not promise heaven. It promised continuation, and that promise lasted millennia. Part 3: Pharaohs, Power, and Absolute Authority. No civilization can endure for millennia without solving one central problem. Authority. Who rules? Why do they rule? And why do people obey? In ancient Egypt, the answer was neither law nor force alone. It was divinity. The pharaoh was not a king. In most civilizations, rulers claimed power. In Egypt, the pharaoh embodied it. He was not chosen by the gods. He was not blessed by the gods. He was a god living. Specifically, he was the earthly manifestation of Horus, the falcon god of order and kingship. To obey the pharaoh was not political loyalty. It was cosmic alignment. Why divine kingship worked? Divine kingship solved a problem other civilizations struggled with: rebellion. To rebel against a human king is ambition. To rebel against a god is sacrilege. This belief transformed power into inevitability. The pharaoh did not argue policy. He maintained Ma'at. If crops failed, he had failed. If floods came late, he had failed. If chaos emerged, responsibility was divine. Power came with obligation. Administration without democracy. Egypt did not rely on public debate. It relied on hierarchy. Below the pharaoh stood a vast administrative system. Viziers, scribes, priests, regional governors. This bureaucracy did not challenge authority. It implemented it. Writing was sacred. Records were meticulous. Taxes were calculated. Labor was organized. Order was documented. Scribes, the invisible pillars. Scribes were not scholars. They were power. They recorded harvests. They documented laws. They preserved rituals. Literacy was rare, and deliberately so. Control over writing meant control over memory. In Egypt, memory was authority. The pyramids were not built by slaves. One of the most persistent myths about Egypt is slavery. The pyramids were not built by enslaved masses. They were built by organized labor, seasonal workers supported by the state. During Nile floods, when farming paused, labor shifted to construction. Workers were fed, housed, honored. Building monuments was service to eternity. Pyramids as political technology. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were messages. They said, "The pharaoh is eternal. The state can mobilize massive resources. Order will outlast any individual." No army was needed to intimidate. Stone did the work. Why Egypt avoided constant war. Unlike many empires, Egypt was not obsessed with expansion. Geography protected it. Deserts acted as natural barriers. The Nile unified territory internally. War was defensive, not constant. Stability mattered more than glory. This restraint conserved resources and time. Succession without collapse. When a pharaoh died, the system did not panic. Succession was ritualized. The new pharaoh inherited divinity, not just power. Continuity mattered more than personality. This reduced instability during transitions, one of the most dangerous moments for any state. Professor's reflection: authority without question. Ancient Egypt mastered a rare formula: absolute authority without constant violence. By merging governance with cosmology, Egypt created obedience that felt natural, even comforting. People did not obey because they were afraid. They obeyed because the universe made sense that way. And when power feels natural, it lasts. Part 4. Writing, Knowledge, and Control. Every long-lasting civilization masters one quiet weapon: memory. In ancient Egypt, memory was not shared freely. It was controlled, and that control shaped 3,000 years of stability. Writing was sacred, not democratic. Writing in Egypt was not a common skill. It was a privilege. Hieroglyphs were believed to carry divine power. Words carved into stone did not merely describe reality, they helped sustain it. To write was to participate in cosmic order. That belief ensured literacy remained rare. Hieroglyphs, meaning over speed. Egyptian writing evolved slowly by design. While other civilizations simplified scripts for efficiency, Egypt preserved complexity. Why? Because clarity was less important than continuity. Hieroglyphs linked the present to the past. Changing them risked breaking that chain. Innovation threatened memory. Memory preserved order. Scribes as guardians of reality. Scribes were not neutral record keepers. They were gatekeepers. They decided what was recorded, how events were remembered, which rituals remained correct. This gave them immense influence. To control writing was to control history. And history, in Egypt, was destiny. Knowledge was practical, not theoretical. Egyptian knowledge focused on application. Mathematics measured land after floods. Astronomy regulated calendars and rituals. Medicine treated symptoms effectively, even if theory lagged. Knowledge existed to maintain stability, not to chase abstract truth. This practical focus reduced dangerous speculation. And speculation destabilizes belief. Education without curiosity. Egyptian education trained obedience, not inquiry. Students memorized texts. They copied examples. They respected precedent. Questioning tradition was discouraged, not punished violently, but quietly erased. This created intellectual continuity, not innovation. And continuity was the goal. Why Egypt avoided intellectual revolutions. Other civilizations experienced philosophical upheaval. Egypt did not, because its worldview did not reward questioning fundamentals. The universe was already understood, order already defined, the role of humans already assigned. Curiosity threatened balance. Balance mattered more than discovery. Writing as ritual preservation. Religious texts were copied exactly. Errors were dangerous. Spells worked only if precise. Rituals mattered only if correct. This obsession with accuracy reinforced the idea that change was harmful. The past was perfect. The present's role was to preserve it. Why this system worked? By controlling literacy and framing knowledge as sacred, Egypt prevented ideological fragmentation. No competing philosophies.
No revolutionary texts. No radical reinterpretations.
The result? A civilization that evolved slowly, but survived endlessly. Professors' reflection, memory as power. Ancient Egypt understood something modern societies forget. Information does not only empower, it destabilizes. By limiting who could write, who could interpret, and who could remember officially, Egypt created a unified narrative. And as long as everyone believed the same story, the civilization endured. Part 5. Invasions, Decline, and Adaptation. Civilizations usually collapse when they are conquered. Egypt did something different. It absorbed its conquerors. For nearly 3,000 years, foreign powers came and went, yet Egypt remained recognizably Egyptian. Its temples stood. Its rituals continued. Its worldview endured. This was not resistance through war. It was resistance through identity. The first shock, the Hyksos. Egypt's first major disruption came not from the Nile, but from beyond it. The Hyksos, foreign rulers from the Near East, entered Egypt during a period of internal weakness. They brought new technologies: horses, chariots, advanced weapons. They ruled parts of Egypt for over a century. And yet, they did not erase Egyptian culture. They adopted it. They used Egyptian titles. They worshipped Egyptian gods. They ruled as pharaohs. When Egyptians eventually expelled them, they did not abandon their own system. They refined it, learning without losing identity. Egypt learned from invasion. Chariots became part of Egyptian warfare. Military organization improved. Borders strengthened. But the core remained untouched. Religions stayed the same. The pharaoh remained divine. Ma'at still governed order. Egypt did not reject foreign tools. It rejected foreign meaning. Empire without obsession. In later periods, Egypt expanded, especially during the New Kingdom. It conquered territory, built wealth, projected power. But even at its imperial height, Egypt did not redefine itself as an empire. Conquest was a phase, not an identity. When expansion slowed, the civilization did not unravel, because its self-worth was not built on dominance. Persians, Greeks, and Romans. Centuries later, new conquerors arrived. Persians ruled Egypt, then Greeks under Alexander, then Romans. Each claimed authority, yet each encountered the same reality. To rule Egypt, you had to become Egyptian. Greek rulers styled themselves as pharaohs. Roman emperors respected Egyptian priesthoods. Temples continued to operate. Foreign rule changed politics. It did not erase culture. Why Egypt could be ruled but not replaced. Egypt's identity was not tied to sovereignty. It was tied to ritual, landscape, religion, memory. Empires could govern Egypt. They could not redefine its meaning. This distinction mattered. When Rome fell, Roman identity fractured. When Egypt was ruled, Egyptian identity persisted. Slow decline, not sudden collapse. Egypt's decline was gradual. Trade routes shifted. Power centers moved. Religious practices evolved. Even Christianity, and later Islam, transformed Egypt, but did not erase its past overnight. Temples became churches. Churches became mosques. Sacred spaces remained sacred. Layers replaced layers. The foundation endured. The last transformation. Eventually, hieroglyphs faded. Pharaohs vanished. Ancient gods retreated. But Egypt did not disappear. It became something new, carrying fragments of its ancient self forward. This was not death. It was metamorphosis. Professors' reflection, survival through adaptation. Egypt teaches a lesson most civilizations learn too late. Survival does not require purity. It requires continuity. By allowing surface change while protecting core meaning, Egypt outlasted forces that destroyed louder empires. It bent. It did not break. Part 6. Why Egypt Endured. Most civilizations are remembered for how they ended. Egypt is remembered for how long it lasted. For over 3,000 years, while cultures rose and collapsed around it, ancient Egypt maintained a recognizable identity despite invasions, internal decline, and profound transformation. This endurance was not accidental. It was structural. Stability was more valuable than greatness. Egypt never chased constant innovation. It avoided intellectual revolutions. It resisted rapid political change. It distrusted disruption. Modern societies celebrate progress. Egypt celebrated balance. By valuing stability over novelty, Egypt reduced the risk of collapse, the price paid by faster-moving civilizations. Religion as social infrastructure. Egyptian religion was not separate from daily life. It structured morality, governance, labor,
Time.
by embedding cosmic meaning into routine behavior. Egypt made social order feel natural. People did not obey because they were forced. They obeyed because the universe made sense that way. Geography as destiny. The Nile was predictable. Predictability created surplus. Surplus created specialization. Specialization created civilization. Egypt's geography reduced uncertainty, one of the greatest enemies of social stability. Where others fought nature, Egypt synchronized with it. Power without constant violence. Egyptian authority did not rely on fear alone. Divine kingship removed the need for constant enforcement. Bureaucracy replaced chaos. Ritual replaced rebellion. Power was centralized but justified. This reduced internal conflict, the primary cause of collapse elsewhere. Adaptation without identity loss. Egypt absorbed conquerors instead of resisting endlessly. Foreign rulers came and went, but Egyptian culture persisted. By allowing surface-level change while preserving core beliefs, Egypt survived domination without disappearing. This flexibility was its greatest strength. Why Egypt outlasted Rome and others. Rome collapsed when its systems failed under pressure. The Indus Valley faded when environmental conditions changed. Egypt endured because its identity was spiritual, not political. Its time view was cyclical, not progressive. Its authority was cosmic, not contractual. When systems changed, meaning remained. The final disappearance was not a failure. Egypt did not end in catastrophe. It dissolved slowly into new identities: Christian, Islamic, modern. This was not collapse. It was transformation. Civilizations that end quietly often endure longest in memory. What Egypt teaches the present. Egypt asks uncomfortable questions of modern civilization. Do we value speed over stability? Do we confuse innovation with survival? Do we understand balance or only growth? Egypt reminds us that endurance is not about domination. It is about alignment with nature, belief, and human limits. Final reflection. The civilization that understood time. Egypt did not fear endings because it did not believe in them. To the Egyptians, everything returned.
Floods.
Seasons.
Souls.
Order. Civilization was not a race. It was a rhythm, and Egypt kept that rhythm longer than any other ancient society. Closing words from the perfect professor. History remembers empires that fell dramatically. But wisdom lies with those that learned how not to fall at all. Ancient Egypt did not conquer the future. It endured it. Lessons from the past. Stories for the present. Now I have a question for you. If you could visit ancient Egypt for one day, what would you want to see first? Let me know in the comments section. That's all for today's video on ancient Egypt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.